Hey, I'm Rowdy Ron, and welcome back to Studio R as I get ready to do video log, blog, vlog, whatever you want to call it, number 2. And it's easy for me to say, but I've got my list of questions here that everybody's been wanting to know about, emailing me and leaving me comments, wanting to know things about my life, and mainly about my life in pro wrestling, and I'm going to get right into that right now. My last vlog, of course, I talked about my dad coming here. It's a big thing in my life since it's been about, 30 years since I've seen him, so it's going to be very interesting. We'll have him right here in Studio R, and it'll be the R&R connection right here to entertain yous out there. So, if you're ready, I've got, like I said, the list of questions here. Keep them coming. I'd be more than happy to answer whatever questions I possibly can. The big questions have been out there on how did I get into the world of pro wrestling. As you've seen on some of my other videos here on YouTube, I put together a whole montage, a couple of them at least, filled with pictures and music of my years in pro wrestling. I've been very, very fortunate to work with a lot of the big names, guys like John Cena, The Undertaker, The Big Show, Mark Henry, Dave Batista I've worked with. I've worked with quite a few, Ivan Koloff, gosh, Jerry Lawler, bunches of them, over the years, of course, not just recently. So let's take you back in time. 1988 is when it was, and I was working at a teen club up in Willowick, Ohio, and I was a disc jockey at the time, and it was pretty cool. I was on my own and still semi-struggling. Been on my own since I was 16, so around that time I was about 18 and still struggling, but maintaining, staying alive, obviously. I'd say the first part of 1989, while I was there, it was teen night, like I said, and a radio station happened to be there doing a radio remote, which is they send out one of their personalities, and they give away concert tickets, and at the time, record albums, cassettes, before CDs, folks. I'm showing my age here. This is before CDs, made it big, obviously, on the industry. But the guy's name was Tom Kent. He was a somewhat of a legend there in Cleveland radio, and now he's down in Texas doing a internet radio show. You can look him up online, Tom Kent, K-E-N-T. I think he goes by Truckin' Tom Kent now, but he's heard all throughout the United States here from his studio. So it's very very cool that I got to be underneath him. He was my Obi-Wan Kenobi, basically. Obi-Tom Kenobi, so there you go. Anyways, he was the morning show host for a station called WRQC. It was 92Q up in Cleveland Heights, Ohio. And he happened to be there that night, and like I said, they were doing a remote, and my big dream was obviously to get into wrestling. Obviously was one of them. Radio, television, the limelight. I just wanted to get out there and showcase my talents. And this guy, it was a tough cookie to crack because, I'm sure he was approached by a lot of people, hey, put me on the radio. And I had done this previously. I had interned at other radio stations, and since I was about probably 12, 13 years old, I've been calling radio stations and getting on with, doing impressions online for different disc jockeys all throughout the Cleveland area, so it was great. Anyways, I talked to Tom there. I told him I did some impressions. He had me do a few of them live in person. He was impressed, obviously, and invited me to the radio station sometime whenever I had a chance just to come and hang out with him, do some impressions. He wanted to record me and put some stuff on his show. So I had done that for a few weeks with him and didn't make any money or anything like that. I mainly just got like movie tickets and a couple of record albums, things like that as payment. But just the experience alone was enough payment for me, to be honest with you. Let me turn some volume down here. I'm getting feedback, it sounds like. Anyways, like I said, 3 weeks later, he got promoted. He went from being the morning show guy to the program director, which is basically the program director is the guy that controls the talent on the station. They hire, they fire the people, they make things happen with the station, obviously, to get it out there into the public. So Tom called me up and he said, how would you like to come in and work as my producer for my morning show? And he stayed being the morning show guy, but he was also the program director. Very busy guy. And I was jumping up and down. I actually was going to get paid to do my dream job. It was wonderful. So that lasted for a while, and then my duties went up a little bit more. I was not only producing his show, doing voices and taking care of music with him, but I was also doing fill-in spots for people who would call in sick or went on vacation. I was doing weekends. Basically, I was there 7 days a week, sometimes during the day, sometimes day and night. As I found myself doing a lot more overnight shift there. And it was great because I became a big night owl, and it went right into the morning shift. So I was just I was on cloud nine. Here I was, an 18-year-old kid, a dropout out of high school, barely making it on my own, and I had my dream job, and it was a great feeling. So that's how I got into radio, and that lasted until about 1990. The station turned into a rap station, and pretty much that was the end of that. So thank you, rap music. Okay, so anyways, how did I get into wrestling? Well, there's the tie-in. One night while I was working, a local promoter from the Great Lakes Wrestling Association up in Cleveland, his name was Lou Coakley. He loved hearing my voice. I used to kid around with my listeners. I'd put them on the radio. If there was a wrestling pay-per-view or a show, the next day I would talk about it and give wrestling results, and was mixing the wrestling and radio, which was unheard of at that time. So anyways, this guy knew I was a wrestling fan, and he called me up and cut me a deal. He was like, I like your voice, I like your personality, you seem to be, in touch with the people, and I know you're a wrestling fan. How would you like to come work with us? Keep your your radio job, but also do ring announcing for us, and maybe some PR work. And I was ecstatic. I'm like, well, holy Parma, this is the way to go. So I jumped aboard with those guys. I stayed with my radio job, like I said, until it got bought out by the a rap station. So I stayed with Great Lakes Wrestling for a few years, quite a few years actually, until I moved down to Cincinnati in 1992. So I got to work with Jerry the King Lawler, the late Eddie Gilbert. Worked with Tommy Wildfire Rich, Ivan Koloff I worked with, Paul Jones, the Assassins. I worked with a lot of people that were now legends. Back then, they were still fairly big names coming straight off of TV, and it was just incredible to work with these people, stand in the ring with them, and I had my pictures, like I said, taken, and videos, and for an 18-year-old kid, it was a dream to work radio and wrestling at the same exact time. And as I worked with Great Lakes Wrestling, I learned the ins and outs of not only the squared circle, but things behind the scenes, locker room, and stayed close to the promoter just to learn the tricks of the trade, because I felt someday I would, hopefully gather as much experience as possible to where maybe I could take that next step up, and maybe work for the WWE or WCW, and of course that never really happened, but it's okay to dream, right? So that's how I got into radio. That's how I got into wrestling from radio, and stayed in wrestling ever since then. Like I said, I ended up moving down to Cincinnati in 1992, and my next vlog is going to talk about that in 1992, from 1995, and then from 1995 to the present, where I am right now, including my time with Ohio Valley Wrestling from 1999 to 2001, and training and working with the guys that would then become WWE superstars, like I mentioned, with John Cena and Dave Bautista, and Doug and Danny Basham were on there, Victoria. A lot of the names that you have now seen and are currently seen in the WWE, I've had the opportunity to work with, and I feel very privileged by that. So anyways, check back with me next time, and we'll go over all that. Don't forget, I will do another vlog here with my dad right here in Studio R. It is the Ron and Ron Connection. He's got the same name as I do, so it is going to be fun. And please keep the comments and the emails coming, and I promise I will answer your questions as it comes. In the meantime, have a wonderful one. See ya.